The brand search trap. Are you actually generating money from your branded campaign, or are you just paying so much for bidding on people that we're going to convert anyway, right? It's a massive problem that is always really concerning brand owners. They're thinking, okay, what's this going to happen anyway? Are we overspending on brand? Are we not spending the right amount? And so, branded search, as you may know, for example, this is an account, it's generated a million at 14x ROAS. Obviously, always has the nicest, most dream-like ROAS, right? Because it's people that are very high intent. They already know you, so they're clicking for a reason, and they're looking to already convert. And so, a lot of times, you argue that Google takes credit for something that was going to happen anyway. So why should you pay for that? Okay. And so the thing is, it's not a very clear cut answer in most cases, right? Now, there are some agencies that absolutely bid on brand. They spend on PMax. Their account ROAS looks great. I've seen that so many times. Again, recently audited this account. Most of their search terms were actually branded terms. Okay. And so a lot of agencies, take the easy route where they spend on brand, right? Whereas this is not the way to go if you really want to scale and look at acquiring new customers. Apparently there was a PMax study that found that a branded campaign was paying for around 500,000 in organic revenue that would have happened anyway. Okay, and so when should you pay for brand search? Now, I have a SaaS client that actually has been missing out on a lot of branded revenue because they have some really fierce competitors. And so, as you may know, when it comes to SaaS, bidding on competitor names is absolutely huge. It's super profitable, and so these competitors are super aggressive. They were bidding on this brand name, which meant we actually had to spend a lot more on brand. So that's one of the cases in which you really always need to make sure you're spending on brand is when competitors are bidding on your name. Okay, you want to look at your auction insights. You want to look at the overlap rate. You want to make sure that you're ideally above 90% search impression share at the top of your branded search from different angles. You want to make sure that you're not being pushed by the AI overview. You know how a lot of these things change. The Google algorithm is overall changing a lot. So again, you absolutely want to make sure that you're capturing all the different queries. Now, some of these could entail as well, so you want to make sure you're not missing out on any of the potential search terms. You could use Claude for that to identify all the difference that your customers might search that are branded. So, how do you test whether you should be spending on such branded traffic? Okay, so if you want to test kind of the incrementality kind of effect of spending on brand, right? So you want to start by recording your total branded conversions across paid, organic, and direct using Google Ads, Google Search Console, and Google Analytics. So after you've recorded your branded search conversions for 2 weeks, you want to actually pause that branded search campaign for 2 to 4 weeks. And then that's when you want to really monitor, okay, organically, did the brand clicks increase, right? Are you getting more direct traffic? Are you getting overall less conversion? And so if your total number of conversions stays the same during that period, then brand search was actually not incremental. So you were paying for something that was going to convert anyway. If there's a slight drop of 10 to 20%, then there's some incrementality there and you're losing some value, but it's not exactly a 10x ROAS. However, if it's 30% or more, then branded search is a crucial element of your overall profitability. And that means you absolutely need to keep spending on it. If it's not as efficient, you want to spend more on non-brand and you want to sort of gauge the impact of it and manage spend accordingly. Now, PMax. Google Ads nerds love to talk about this all the time. PMax is the biggest offender when it comes to spending on brand. PMax loves branded conversions because it's bottom of funnel. It's super easy for PMax to generate the top ROAS that you're looking for and allows you to keep spending, make Google more money, right? And so again, you want to make sure to exclude brand from PMax, right? Because so many times if you don't exclude brand, you're going to find PMax just lurking and spending on brand, different kinds of branded queries. Okay. So I'm going to look at your search terms on PMax Insights, and you want to make sure that the top converting terms are primarily non-brand. That's if you don't want to exclude it. Some cases where you don't want to exclude it is, let's just say you have an account that's super, stressful. You don't want to take too much risks. You don't want to, impact the learning. Then that's fine. You can keep it, temporarily. But again, ideally, what you do is you leverage brand for branded search, branded shopping, so that you make sure that you're spending primarily on acquisition and you allow these campaigns over there to capture all the branded traffic and you understand exactly what you're spending on when it comes to brand so that you cap it and you're not overspending on branded search impressions. So this is some of the ideal structures that you can test. As I mentioned, PMax with brand exclusion, and then you have a separate brand search campaign or branded shopping. In many cases, both depending on your overall size of your brand. You want to always look at auction insights for competitors. Look at who's bidding organic. You want to really look at Search Console. You want to look at Google Analytics because they're overall, super strongly tied. And so let's just say if your branded campaign is spending mentality is showing that only 20% is incremental. So that means your actual incremental revenue is around 6,000 rather than 30,000, right? And so which means you're wasting a lot of spend on brand, right? And so with that being said, if you'd like me to audit your account, identify the areas of spending where you could be saving that amount and investing it in more profitable outcome, free to reach out and I'll happily have a look at your account